Hey there, Heather, ho there's Jeff Cutterdam welcoming you to another classic soccer tribute match. You see what practically I have done for the tribute matches from the legendary Argentinian coach Cesar Luis Menotti to a Canada Spectacular to the Jorge Costa tribute match for Porto to John Robertson for Nottingham Forest to Boris Mihailov for Bulgaria, the Anthony Kappa tribute match for Portugal. Jose Santaria, who was a legend for Real Madrid in the 50s and 60s. Sven Goran Eriksson, when he died, his international and domestic matches. The Toto Scalacci tribute match because of the 1990s Toto Scalacci passed away. Johan Neeskens for Ihawks. Tribute match to the father of Julio Bukili. And the Peter McParlin tribute game for Northern Ireland. Now comes the match between the 1977 Liverpool squad at Anfield hosting the 1980 Hamburg team. Reason being is this: Kevin Keegan, known for his bubble perm, King Cavasicom, passed away today at age 75. He was an iconic player. He played many. So he played at Scunthorpe in 1968 before Bill Shankly in 1971 signed him to be Liverpool, play for Liverpool, winning 3 First Division, or what we call, of course, Premier League titles nowadays. The UEFA Cup twice, the FA Cup, the biggest, the oldest knockout competition in world soccer, and the final season, the European Cup. And then he decided to sign for Hamburg in Germany, which was a shock because, moving from England to Germany was not that easy. He was a regular member of the England national team, but unfortunately for Keegan, he couldn't get into the World Cup in 74 and 78 because that was when England choked to both Poland and Italy, respectively. He won Hamburg won the Bundesliga, or the German domestic championship, in 1979. Went to the European Cup final in 1980, playing Nottingham Forest, who won their second straight title. Keegan would head after Hamburg head for Southampton for a few years, and then went to Newcastle, where he I think grew up and all that, and got Newcastle promotion. So he moved into management for Newcastle in 1992. They actually won uh, the first division champions in his first full season. They won to the Premier League. They finished second in '96, almost having it, but that massive choke, and then managed Fulham for a couple of years. Was in charge of the England national team in 1999, but resigned after losing to Germany in 2002 World Cup qualifying. That led to Sven Goran Eriksson coming in and actually having England beat Germany in Germany 5-1. He was Manchester City's manager for 4 years from 2001 to 2005. Fuck that. Sorry, I'm a Man U guy. Keegan actually went to Newcastle as a second spell as manager January 2008 and only lasted 8 months. So anyway, yeah, he went to Scunthorpe. Um, Liverpool's head scout Jeff Twentyman, what a name, said that Keegan would work out. Scunthorpe accepted to the fee offered and all that. Anyway, Keegan was transferred to Liverpool for £33,000. Of course, that was 1971 money. Liverpool bought Keegan as a midfielder, but Bill Shankly, the manager or the coach, if you will, decided to move Keegan up front with John Torshak. So it was Keegan and Torshak. I thought Dalglish had something to do with it, but yeah, Keegan's Liverpool stuff was huge and all that. And they always would have such a great um, way and all that. In 1977, Keegan helped Liverpool win the First Division and the European Cup. He wanted to leave Liverpool in the summer to play abroad in the United States, possibly, or whatever. He scored 20 goals in his final team in Liverpool, and Liverpool lost to Manchester United in the FA Cup final, and then 4 days later, the European Cup final was in Roma against Borussia, and Liverpool won 3-1. And then, yeah, he had offers from clubs across Europe and chose to go to Germany for £500,000. Liverpool didn't lose a step. They just took Kenny Dalglish, all that. So yeah, so this was a massive move and all that. A lot of people poo-pooed that move to Hamburg because of the fact that you know they had not finished higher than sixth in 2 decades. So anyway, yeah, he did the bubble perm and all that when playing for Hamburg, all that. And of course, no club with a lot more than two foreign players on his squad, and it actually moved out Horst Blankenberg, who's a German player and all that. So anyway, he would play for Hamburg, got them in 1980 to beat Tbilisi, the Soviet champs that actually beat Liverpool to move on. Hamburg would beat Tbilisi, Feller, Hajduk Split, and Real Madrid to move on to the final against Nottingham Forest, but Forest won 1-0. And Hamburg lost to Bayern Munich, the Bundesliga. So anyway, Keegan left Hamburg for Southampton in December 1980. It was just shocking because Southampton was a small club, and it'd be big and all that. However, with Southampton, his first year in 1981, they took sixth place, their highest league finish to that point. And then by April 1982, Southampton actually led the first division table. Unfortunately, though, they fell to seventh. And then he went to Newcastle for £100,000 and spent a couple of years there, getting Newcastle up to the top division. So anyway, that was it. So yeah, Keegan in his international career started his England debut in 1972, and then he was part of the '74 World Cup campaign, but fell. And he retired after the 1982 World Cup. He did get England to the 1982 World Cup. Thank goodness for that. And he finally reached the World Cup. But unfortunately, even though he was named to the squad, he actually had a chronic back injury and could not play in the group games and all that. However, he recovered sufficiently to appear as a substitute when England took on Spain in the second round. And he actually had a point blank header that would have given England the lead. England unfortunately tied 0-0. They needed to beat West Germany. They needed to win by a scoreline better than 2-1 to progress to the semifinals. As a manager in Newcastle, he was made in 1992 to be there. They were last place in the second division at several stages. And a lot of people, and he needed to help Newcastle stay away from the third tier and all that. So, so anyway, there were a lot of things, all that. Fortunately, though, Newcastle finished 20th in the second division, avoiding relegation. And then the team would actually play in the first division for the 93 season for the Premier League, the new Premier League. They actually won the first division in 93, which was shocking. All that. The new first division is the second tier. So the first division is the second tier. And then they got to the Premier League as first division champs. So then Newcastle took third in the Premier League in 1994, went into and qualified for the UEFA Cup, which was pretty impressive. Newcastle was trying to win their first league title since 1927, and they ended up in sixth. And then in '96, they looked pretty good. They actually lost 4-3 to Liverpool in Anfield. And then after Liverpool, Stan Collymore late winner, Keegan slumped over the advertising hoarding. And they felt Manchester United ended up winning the '96 Premier League title. And of course, during the race. He says, "I would love it if we beat them. Love it." With the relationship with Alex Ferguson, Keegan would sign Ellen Shearer from Blackburn in July '96, breaking the world transfer fee record. And Alan Shearer was born in Newcastle and all that, so why not? But in January 1997, he actually resigned. So anyway, Dalglish succeeded him, who was the same guy who replaced him as a player for Liverpool. They finished second place in the '97 season and then took 13th the following season. They would not have been top five in the Premier League till 2002. Then he went to Fulham, who had not been. Yeah, so Fulham. In 1999, they did win the second division to move to first division, to tier two, and all that. And Keegan would leave at the end of the season for England. He was named the new manager February 18th, 1999. He succeeded Glenn Hoddle, who was booted because he made a newspaper article and his words, disabled people were being punished for their sins in a previous life. Keegan led England over Poland to qualify for Euro 2000 and all that. England would play Scotland in a qualification playoff and thankfully moved on. Keegan was known for his perceived tactical naivety. England would lose to Portugal in the first game of Euro 2000, losing 3-2 when they were up 2-0 after 17 minutes. England then would beat Germany, which was shocking. It was the first time England beat Germany in a competitive match since World Cup '66. And then against Romania, they choked at Romania. They needed to win. But Keegan was still in charge of the national side. But after England lost to Germany in Wembley, the last game of Wembley before the new Wembley was built, he left. 38.9%. It was actually the lowest such percentage of any permanent England manager. Anyway, yeah. Uh, Sven-Göran Eriksson was the England manager and got England to qualify for the World Cup in 2002. So he went to Manchester City and all that. They got promoted to Premier League and all that. Um, they took ninth in 2003, 2004 at the new City of Manchester Stadium. Keegan helped Man City beat Tottenham despite being down 3-0 at halftime, and then Joey Barton was sent off. They went 4-3. They finished 16th. And in 2005, he agreed to leave and all that. And then Keegan ended up being the Newcastle and didn't work out. Main appearances, he was on Superstars, the BBC thing. A few documentaries and all that. The pundit for 2010 World Cup. So yeah, Poodle Perm, which was the top of the worst hairstyle surveys and all that. Keegan had stomach cancer, and then June he disclosed that he had stage 4 cancer and then died today, July 20th, at age 75. Alan Shearer posted, "My hero, my manager, my friend, sleep easy, boss." So for Scunthorpe, Liverpool, Hamburg, Southampton, Newcastle, and Blackton City in Australia, 254 goals. 21 goals in 63 games in England, so 1 goal every 3 games. His last one was against Northern Ireland in the British Home Championship. Managing, he had a 50.5% winning percentage with Newcastle, Fulham, England, Man City, and back to Newcastle. His best was 62% with Fulham. So with Liverpool, he won 3 First Division titles, 73, 76, 77, FA Cup 74, European Cup 77, which is the European Club Championship, and UEFA Cup twice, 73 and 76. Bundesliga 79 for Hamburg, and runner-up the European Cup in 1980, British Home Championship 4 times, blah, 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 blah. All right, so let's play. 77 Liverpool against 1980 Hamburg. The two teams go. All right, so Anfield is hosting this game. Liverpool 4-4-2, so it's Hamburg. Liverpool in the net. Ray Clemens with Jones, Hughes, Smith, and Phil Neal in the back. Middle of Kennedy, Case, Terry McDermott, Ian Callahan, Toshak, and Keegan are up front. For Hamburg, Kargas in the net, Jacobs, Bojan, Nogli, and Kultz at defense. Keegan with Memory and Felix Magath and Horst Rudrash. In the midfield, Ryman and Hartwig are playing. So we're going to autofill so that I don't interfere. That's the case. He did the score. Jimmy Case scores the midfielder. Ray Kennedy, 1-0 Liverpool. that's it. Liverpool wins 2-0. Did a good job. 15 shots by Liverpool, only 6 on target by 2 goals. Hamburg 13 shots, 4 on target. And yes, that's a lot more than Argentina did yesterday. Ooh. 19 fouls for Hamburg, 9 by Liverpool, 2 yellow cards by Hamburg, 1 by Liverpool, possession 55-45. Take a look at the highlights. Case, a big pass to Kennedy in the 26th minute, and then Kennedy passed it to Case, who scored. Neal with a big keep. McGaff missed the tackle. Neal decided to score. And within 2 minutes, Liverpool went 2-0, but Kevin Keegan did nothing. So, in essence, Liverpool wins. I kind of had a feeling because, Liverpool is where Kevin Keegan did his best soccer. And so it was. So, RIP Kevin Keegan. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.